It is 12:05 on Wednesday afternoon. It just turned, I guess, noon. I'm here to talk about another headline that just happened. Breaking. GJ Kinne announced himself 2 hours ago that Lindsey Scott Jr. is now on the coaching staff as an offensive assistant. If you're a fan of the show, you know that name. Lindsey Scott Jr. led his team, the UIW Cardinals last year, GJ Kinne's old team, to the FCS playoffs, and, just completely balled it up. Yeah, he was the Walter Payton Award winner. So yeah, I mean, that's the Heisman Trophy of the FCS. This is a huge deal for Texas State. I can't emphasize this enough. And the GJ Lindsey connection, alive and well. I don't know. I'm giddy. That's my reaction. Back to the show.
Tired of winning the tailgate, but losing the games? We can't help that. But we can tell you what the hell is up with each team and what's going on across sunny San Marcos. Texas State fans, get on your feet. You're listening to Squarin' Around with Jakob Rodriguez and Andrew Zimmel.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Squarin' Around here on the Republic of Football Podcast Network for Dave Campbell's Texas Football. How the hell are you? My name is Jakob Rodriguez. That's the Texas State Sports Press, Andrew Zimmel. And this is a podcast where we talk about everything Texas State.
So I think I need to repent for my sins, Father.
Again?
I was wrong. Going back and listening to a bunch of our different podcast episodes, I'm wrong a lot of the time. And I'm willing to admit that. I'm wrong. What I will not admit to is that I'm not the president, because I have what I say is fact until it's not fact anymore. And Levi Wells had a bad season this year for Texas State baseball. As a right-handed pitcher, the stats were not as good as they were a year prior.
Well, he got hurt. Remember, he didn't start the first game against Northwestern. Everybody was like, what happened there? And then he got hurt on the road. I want to say it was against Oral Roberts. But I can't remember which series in the early.
Well, it showed. It showed early.
He got hurt on the road,
and him getting drafted is insane. It's incredible. A shout out to him. I'm very excited because it makes him look good, and Texas State baseball looks good. The graphic, however, come on, guys. I had multiple people reach out to me being like, "What's up with this graphic? Tell your boy Alex to fix this." And I was like, "Hey, he's not here anymore, baby."
First of all, he's not our boy. At least over there in the athletics world.
Yeah, no, I was like, shout out to them. But yeah, I still think that I liked our closer more than I liked Wells coming into the draft.
The jersey swap was pretty good from them. Did you see that?
See, that's the other one. I got that sent to me, and people were not impressed. They were not happy. They weren't happy with the graphics that were given.
Yeah, as you hinted to a little bit earlier in this podcast. Sometimes we're wrong. A rarity, honestly.
Rarity.
That we're wrong. Other times, you're the Nostradamus. I'm Jakob Stradamus. However you say that name. But yeah, we called fucking Levi getting drafted. You actually texted me the day before he got drafted. You were like, hey, Levi might go today, just to let you know. Last week on our show, I said the same thing. Levi probably get drafted. He might even be a better name. I don't know how I phrased it last week, but then our last year closure of the year, Tristan Stivers.
On the last episode of Squaring Around.
I don't want to talk down on our boy Tristan Stivers' his name, but Levi may be the best name out of the combine in a while because of the season that he had too. He had 13 strikeouts in a complete game that he threw this year. So just the things that he's been able to do, pretty good. And that wasn't just like a no-nothing game, It was a pretty good series.
So you think that he's a better name coming out of this season than Stivers?
I think more people know about Levi than they did about Tristan, right? Tristan, he needed that UT win and then that finish at Stanford to kind of levy all the things that he had. That's spelled with a A-N, not O-N. I'm always fascinated by that because my best friend, Tristan Giese.
Anyway, I said, though, I didn't think that he was going to get drafted last week. And then all of a sudden I go on the MLB.com website and whoops, got that one wrong. the 96th ranked prospect goes to the Baltimore Orioles on day 2 of the draft. At that point, I was like, okay, he's going to get picked. Shout out to him. I'm
Pick 118.
excited.
Pick 118.
Pick 118, lucky number 118. If you got picked 118, do you go with 11 or 18
I
for the jersey number?
What was his number at Texas State?
I think it was like 21 or 37. It was a weird number like that.
I'll tell you what, I DM'd Levi Wells earlier this week. He hasn't hit me back. So he's already letting the fame and fortune get to his head, you know?
Oh, I don't blame him. I don't blame him. He should have reached out to Chase Mora.
25. There you go.
It's close. Should have gone to Chase Mora and then been like, hey, can we get your teammate?
Yeah, hey, it's your boy. Get your boy for us. That's
no, I mean, shout out to him. Is that the biggest news out of Texas State this week? You think the MLB draft? I think so too. I think that's
we also had a not even a freshman. Like, what would you call that? Like commit out of Cy Woods, Texas. Beautiful Houston, Texas. So he hasn't even touched Texas State yet. He got drafted in the 18th round by the Tigers.
Now, do we know if he's going or not?
I don't know.
So this is one of those rare instances where the Jakob Rodriguez rule of commits actually makes sense because technically not a Bobcat. You know what I mean? You don't get to like chalk that one up as like, oh, we had another Texas State Bobcat get drafted because technically not a real Bobcat.
Yeah, like so this kind of means nothing. Ethan Ferris, by the way, that's who we're talking about.
It kind of made so this is one of those rare instances where you're right about something. So this is good for you, man. I'm like, I'm
on a pretty hot week, as you'll find out in this podcast, because we got Levi. We're coming up with some more dominoes too.
Yeah. I liked it though, and I think that it goes more into the fact that Trout is recruiting these type of players. You know what I mean? Like to get guys. Now you don't want like every one of your recruits to get drafted, clearly, right? You would like to have somebody show up to campus in the fall. But it kind of gives me an idea of like, that is the talent that they're looking for. That they know that Texas State, they know the Sun Belt Conference is one of the better baseball conferences. But when you look at the non-conference schedule that they put together, TCU, College World Series, Texas won the Big 12 regular season, A&M, a solid SEC program, Tarleton is a solid program. So it's like they're building a non-conference schedule here where you see some of you. If you are a recruit in the state of Texas, you will be playing some of the best players in the state of Texas. You will be playing some of the best teams in the state of Texas, and your parents are going to want to go see that because whether you like it or not, Jacob, most people are not raised Bobcat fans. They are raised A&M fans or UT fans, and if you can get a Texas State guy, a recruit to come and say, hey, you get 2 games against UT, you get 2 games against A&M potentially, or against TCU. Your parents will see you on television in those games. Sometimes Texas State gets on ESPN2 when they play those non-conference games. It's a really good recruiting tool, and I'm really impressed by what Trout's doing.
Well, you talk about like just success for a program overall. Like this is what a program needs to do to be successful overall. That's how you get the big money donations that baseball and softball are getting. That's how you get big recruits that Texas State baseball and softball are getting.
We talk about this all the time. I love our teachers and our losers, but they're not the ones that are paying the athletic bills. It's a lot of those alums that go play in the NFL, go play in the MLB. Paul Goldschmidt gives money, gives stuff back all the time for donations and stuff. It's those guys that really help drive it. And then from there, then the fans can supplement, right? It's kind of like I want to make a comparison, to like super PACs, right? Like in political lobbying, right? Like if you're getting money from Target or the Koch brothers, that's going to help your political campaign. But you also need those smaller donations. You need those $5, $10, $15 donations from the Andrew Zimmels and Jakob Rodriguez's of the world, right? The Paul Goldschmidts, the Chase Moras in the future, right? The Levi Wells in the future that are going to be giving money back potentially to the program. That helps build a facility, that helps. And it also helps build the recognition. I walk around, for those of you that don't know, living in North Dakota, I walk around repping Texas State 24/7. I got the hat, I got the hoodie on all the time. That is the only team that I rock 24/7 up here. I don't rep any of the North Dakota schools and the Minnesota schools. And I'm starting to get the recognition. I'm starting to go to different places, and people are recognizing the Texas State logo, the Texas State brand, which is huge for our Bobcats. That's huge.
And then I think people also recognize, right, that like the draft isn't necessarily everything in baseball. It's like the Billy Beane effect, right? Like maybe you don't want to go to Detroit in the 18th round. You you come up to Texas State, prove yourself 1-2 years, see how far you can move up, just like Levi Wells probably did too. Go undrafted, go to Texas State, play for 3 to 4 years, see what happens. I don't expect Levi Wells back though at Texas State.
No, I don't either, and which I'm completely wrong about. If he would have gone maybe 2 rounds later, yeah, we might get him.
Which is why I DM'd him, because I was like, "There's no way he's playing next year, so who's gonna hit me back?"
It's a good point, and I've kind of switched. I used to think minor league baseball greater than college baseball. That opinion has switched for me. I think if I was a high school baseball player who went later in the draft, like let's say round 18, I think going to a Texas State or the college of your choice makes more sense, because not only are you getting free room and board, free meals, you get to play against good competition, you get better coaching potentially in a lot of cases. I think the college infrastructure is built now to kind of take away maybe a little bit of those minor league assets versus 15, 30 years ago, So I think we're making the right progress as like a baseball program, essentially. Like this is to wrap it up in a bow. Texas State baseball, I give it an A+ over the last 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, I mean, and then it's not even like this is like an also ran team. Like this is a team that can consistently make a Stanford regional, an Austin regional, of whatever. Insert whatever.
Let's not say consistently. Let's say that that's the goal.
Potentially consistently. Yes. It's right on the verge of being there. They need a couple more years. And they honestly need people to stop getting drafted, because that would help a lot too.
And I don't know if you saw this, and I think the people that are locked in on baseball will notice this, but the preseason picks came out. Like, who do you think will be in the College World Series again next year? And of course, my TCU Horned Frogs were there, but also Coastal Carolina out of the Sun Belt was a team that got mentioned. Now, if you remember, they won the World Series in 2017, or 2016. They won in like 7 years ago. Point is that the Sun Belt is getting recognition in these national rankings when you look at these different type of teams. Southern Miss is going to be another one. Louisiana is going to be another one. Texas State is, I think, that third, fourth, fifth team kind of in the middle of the pack. They got a lot of room to grow. They're good where they're at right now. I think that the bar should consistently be super regionals.
They're kind of like a homeless guy with a taser, Like they have huge bats so they can just kind of whip out, and it's scary. It's alarming. And
well, let's flip it over here. The downside of Levi Wells going, and I was not in love with his season this past season with Bobcats. And you mentioned he got injured. The pitching is still a very big question mark.
Mm-hmm.
And we're hopefully with Mora, he said that he wants to throw some innings. He wants to come out of the bullpen potentially. He wants to get in that pitching role again. We see more across college baseball and high school baseball, the Shohei Ohtani effect of like, hey, if we have this really good pitcher who also rakes, why are we not using him for both? Why are we not using him to hit and pitch? Maybe that's something that Texas State incorporates. I don't imagine that in the next 2 years or 3 years that that's something that you can kind of just flip on with a switch. But losing Wells is going to hurt the pitching staff, I think, going forward.
Well, separately too, in kind of a bigger baseball week for us, like this is like a sad baseball headline. Tobin Eschiff at a New Braunfels, a Texas State pitcher commit, not signee or anything. But he's going to undergo Tommy John surgery too. So what you're saying is true. I mean, pitchers are hard to come by, and it's tough that we're losing our captain basically. Mora's going to step up and be a two-way player, just like the guy out of Georgia State who played shortstop and second base and almost beat Texas State in a must-win game in the tourney. But yeah, I'm scared about our pitching.
Pitching's going to be a big question mark, and I think that would be the takeaway from this is that if there's one thing that Trout and the recruiting has to figure out, it is the pitching.
There's been a lot of Trout doing that graphic where he or that GIF
Shakes
online, I guess, where he's
yes.
shaking our boy's hand, Steve Trout and Coach Ty Harrington. So I don't know. I'm excited. They're cooking something up. It'd be interesting.
And
to
they're on
talk to
Threads
them
now too, aren't they?
Oh yeah, they're everywhere. Which is, you know what? I'll get into that later. I got a bone to pick with everybody on Threads.
Jacob, home field is what you want when you are playing in a big game. You want home field advantage. And home field is also where you want to get your apparel. Now, granted, they don't have my favorite school, Texas State, but they have my dad's favorite school, Minnesota. And that is where I did all my shopping for him when he came to his birthday last week. I got all of his Golden Gopher gear from Home Field Apparel. It has you covered. They got a ton of different teams, and the quality is immaculate. Some of the best shirts. I got a shirt a couple years ago for TCU. It's gone through the washer and the dryer probably 1,000 times at this point. No fade, no rip, no tear. It's excellent quality. Home Field Apparel. It's where you should go to shop for all of your favorite college teams.
Use code SQUARE, get 15% off if it's your first time ever ordering anything on Home Field, and 10% off if it's not. So shout out Home Field. And they just added Oregon, the Oregon Ducks home field team now. Soon to be the Bobcats. I don't know. I'm just saying.
We'll keep chipping away at it.
Yeah. Someone's got to. Cool. Shout out Wells. Shout out us for predicting the future, basically. Zimmel, do you know what Nostradamus actually predicted? Because that name gets thrown around a lot. I feel like people just assume that he predicted 9/11 and stuff like that, but that's not entirely true. So do you actually
the world,
know?
Right?
He's predicted a few things.
Okay, one of them was the end of the world, but he got that one wrong, right?
Yeah. The Kennedy assassination, he predicted that? That's crazy. This is a history.com article, by the way.
Okay.
The death of Henry II. I feel like that's kind of an easy one. Like, a king's gonna die. Like, oh, okay. Whoa.
Did he predict the downfall of the Big Ten over the past 15 years?
I don't know if he predicted the Aztecs too leaving their conference. That's a tough one.
He said South Dakota or San Diego State will leave, but then they will return. It's like, oh, okay.
Ooh. They're trying to become independent. The Great Fire of London. The coming of Adolf Hitler? Okay, we're going down a hole I don't want to go down. You get the point. Kind of vague stuff. Me and Zimmel tell you exactly what's going to happen.
So put it up here. Zimmeldamus, I will tell you the Texas State will win 6 ball games this year.
Woo.
Ooh, yeah, 6 ball games. And Frank Gore will graduate at some point from Southern Miss.
Frank Gore Jr.
Jeez. Guy's old as hell. I remember I feel like he's been on the scene forever, and he has like another year, which is crazy.
Just like his father, man. Just like his father.
His dad was playing pro football, which makes sense. Like there's no like expiration date on that. College, you have to get out at some point. You can't play your whole life in college football.
He was my flex for like 5 years straight. A late round flex that you can rotate in and out.
That's a bad fantasy football team if Frank Gore is your flex.
This is a team we haven't gotten to cover a lot, Zimmel, the soccer team. But this is a headline I sent you a super long time ago because Texas State has 2 players on the national team.
It's like the 21U team, right? Or is it the actual national team?
I think it's the actual national team.
So they're helping El Salvador win the bronze medal, and they played for the Central American Caribbean Games. So when you say national team, and you think to yourself like, oh, this guy's talking about the U.S. national team. No, talking about the El Salvador
national team,
which is cool. Like, I'll go buy a flag, but also like, maybe preface that like Central American Games, not FIFA World Cup.
Yeah. So Victoria Mesa and Juana Plata helped El Salvador's national team win the bronze medal in the 2023 Central American and Caribbean Games. It's kind of cool. And Mesa had a head-in match-winning goal in the 80th minute. This is another headline I wanted to talk about for softball. But Claire Ginder? How do you say that? Ginder.
We'll get research on it.
Claire Ginder is playing a summer ball right now, having a good time. She hasn't pitched in a game in 7 years, but came out in relief of her team who desperately needed a pitcher and helped the team get a win. So her mom was shouting her out on Twitter, and she's saying, "Hey, do not expect this on this pitch next year."
So yeah, you're telling us that we need more pitching in baseball, and the softball team is like, you know what? We got Jess. We're good. We're okay.
We got Jessica. We'll probably get another freshman right as she's becoming a senior.
I hope so. I mean, it's tough because we went into the softball season. We said, do we have more than one pitcher? We had one guy. So it's like, maybe bring another freshman in, see what that looks like. But it's like it's tough because you have like your answer in the pitching. You have your answer in the pitching circle, and Texas State softball is not in a rebuild. They're always competitive. They're not trying to lose games because if you lose a game, you lose RPI, and it hurts your standing overall. So it's not like you have a bunch of opportunities to kind of see what you have. The early games, maybe early in the season, but at that point, it's like, all right, let's see. You start the season in March, April. By like May, you're kind of like, all right, this is what our lineup looks like. This is what our everyday starters will look like. This is what our pitching rotation looks like. And most of the time, the pitching rotation is just Mully. So it's like, what do you go with that? You know what I mean? So getting a freshman would be nice. Getting another pitcher would be nice, but like, how do you even figure out what you have because you only have a couple games in the beginning of the season to figure it out?
Them going to the NCAA tournament, I think, was a kind of a testament to the strength of schedule that they had, which is, shout out Coach Woodard, because if they just had like whatever games at the end or, those last kind of away games that you play against, bigger name teams, it wouldn't have meant anything, even if we won out. They had to have gone up against everybody that we did this year and then, win some games, lose some games, get a ranking, not get a ranking, and then kind of have this roller coaster season. Ultimately, it paid off, though. So,
Did it pay off?
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
They got to where they needed to go, right? So now this whole team, even the freshmen and the sophomores, have had experience at the NCAA tournament level, which is what Sarah Vanderford and the other seniors wanted. They were like, we need to go in now because if we come in next year and you guys are still babies and you don't have any experience, that's it. We're cooked already.
I guess so. I understand where you're coming from, but this podcast and every podcast that you and I do are very strictly rings. We are a rings culture podcast. We are a banner podcast, and going to the NCAA tournament is fine. Do we put that on the wall? Does that make the wall on the in center field?
Yeah, I guess not. And we just raise up the golf one again, I guess.
I'm just saying. I mean, I like the team. I like Woodard. We have her on every spring to talk about the season beforehand. We had Jessica on to talk about her season, right? Like, I like this team. I like the softball team. I'm a Bobcat. But at the same time, like, getting the experience is good. I think that is a silver lining. This team did not go where they wanted to go. The goal, I think, was to go further than they went this year.
They almost beat A&M. They were so close. That first game, they had them.
If
they had played UT game 2, that would have been interesting. They would have had a lot of momentum. UT, if you guys will remember correctly, did not finish that game until probably the 6th inning when they took Jessica in and they were like, we might have to save her. Let's take her out. I don't know.
And it's like, we can, guys with podcast mics, we can go back and be like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. And it's easy to do. But, in that situation, they did.
No, I think they made the right call pulling her because, if you have one arm that can win a game, a must-win game, right? You have to take her out.
Yeah, but we didn't win that must-win game.
Well, we beat Austin, whatever, PE or whatever the pirate school is, right? Yeah. To stay in. So that was the must-win.
Okay. All right.
And they took Jessica out in the 4th of that one, too. So
trying to save her, which, whatever. We're rehashing history.
Yeah. Football headlines, Zimmel. The first.
About
Alonzo.
Damn time.
Huh?
So it's about damn time. It's football.
I know. It's right on the horizon. Alonzo Edwards Jr. has been nominated for the 2023 All-State AFCA Good Works Team. I have no idea what that is, but it's a football headline we needed. Community service?
I'm pretty sure it's like a humanitarian, like good teammate type of award. Like they have like the Walter Payton Award in the NFL. I think it's in that kind of group of like good guy award.
Oh, really? That's cool. In
pretty
good
sure.
Hands?
Yeah, double check it. I mean, we could research on it, but I'm pretty sure that's what that is.
Good Works Team. That makes sense now that I'm reading it out loud. Several community service projects. So check this out. He's been leading local youth football camps with Christian Federation of Police Officers in San Marcos and New Braunfels, and he also participates in the Special Olympics events. Look at that.
Yeah. Universal Star, get on it. There's your summer story for you.
Yeah, Alonzo Edwards, good guy. He was also one of the first people that was able to talk to the media members about just his experience. They ended up talking to him a lot about his experience playing JUCO ball, which felt like it was just the same question over and over again. It's like, how do you? It's like you got that dog in you, like mentality question.
They weren't getting the answer they wanted, Jacob. That's what that boils down to. You ask the same question 13 different ways to try to get the answer that works best in print.
Yeah.
I mean, it really means a lot. Like, JUCO really teaches you how to work hard. Like, I came into JUCO as a walk-on. Like, I had no offers out of high school. Like, it was really just a process of grind. Like, being a walk-on, and JUCO teaches you, like, you have to grind because you could get cut at any moment. And so, coming here, I learned under guys like Cordell Rogers, DeJordan Mass, Chris Mills, those type of guys. I learned under them to just work hard, put your head down, and just keep working, no matter how bad the situation is. I feel like with Coach Packey, he tells us we're going to be in your face, play man-to-man, which we played in JUCO. So, I mean, when they came here and told me that we were going to be playing that, it really fit my scheme. So I was like, I'm a man corner, and I like to be in people's faces, and you got to show me that you're better than me. So I felt like this scheme was really perfect for me, so I just trusted Coach Packey and their staff with the defense. It's been very good. Like, we're competing every day. Guys like Juju, like I said, like y'all just seen Ashton Hawkins, just going against those guys every day is a real battle. And with the tempo that they run, I feel like we're going to be able to lock other receivers up from other schools because they're not going to run as fast as what we're doing here. So I feel like the receiving corps is really showing us a lot, and we're working every day.
So shout out Alonzo. And this is a Dave Campbell's Texas football coaching list. Yes. Check this out. Offensive coordinator Mac Leftwich was named to the 40 coaches under 40 list. Honestly, you could name everybody on staff at Texas State to the 40 coaches under 40 list. They're all under 40.
Babies. They're all babies. No, they're all young
babies.
guys.
Yeah. So we're just going to pretend that GJ's not on this list also? Like, I know Dave Campbell's is slowly releasing this out, but like, how is he not going to be there? You know, like.
Yeah, right. Well, I think I saw a list and it was like, of all the head coaches. Oh, excuse me. Of all the head coaches that are in Texas, I think that like 7 of the 12 are under 50 or like under 55, and it's like, oh shit, that's kind of cool. Now, Sarkisian, I think Jimbo Fisher was like the second oldest at A&M. GJ clearly like one of the younger coaches in college football. Period. Like what, 37?
That's so funny that you and I. Like, I know exactly what graphic you're talking about because now we share that Twitter account. We just see the same thing at different times.
Yeah.
The thing that surprised me on that was how old Casey Keeler was. He's like 63 or something.
Oh, 100%. At Sam Houston State, right? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. That shocked me. Now, look, sometimes you get an older coach to start a program, or you take an older coach as you're moving up, so you have like a steady hand at the wheel. But as this country knows, sometimes older hands not great. So it's interesting that the 40 under 40. I do like the cross-pollination, though. They give us content, and then we talk about the content, and then they'll use this clip of us talking about the content to talk about the content some more. Maybe Mike Craven sees the podcast and goes, you know what? I hate those guys.
They'll take one clip from you and I out of context, and then Craven will dunk on us on their bigger account, and then we'll have to retweet that because it's funny.
He's at Media Day right now for the Big 12. Do you think he goes to the Sunbelt Media Day?
I think maybe virtually he joins online. I think maybe he's depending on us to go virtually. He's like, what the hell? Where are my notes, guys?
Do you think he goes to SEC Media Days next year?
SEC Media Days?
He's got to. When A&M and Texas are there, he's got to go, right?
We should be like Eric Andre at the RNC. That's what we should do at SEC Media Days.
Hey, I'm Eric Andre. I'm here at the Republican National Convention.
I'm ready for the Rascal Flatts concert later.
Rascal Flatts.
Did you hear the new Rascal Flatts song?
Which one?
It goes,
flat on my back, I'm a f***ing rascal.
You're not Martin Luther King! You're not!
Hey,
You're not! Coachella sucks this year.
Yeah,
Let me in!
The RNC and the SEC Media Days has a lot of the same group.
Oh, yeah. A lot of the same donors for sure.
I would be concerned for our safety.
The My Pillow guy and big Alabama guy. Oh yeah. This is the second part where we proved to everybody that we were right and we can predict the future occasionally. Tori Spears, Victory Lap podcast is one of the people that are going on to the Media Days.
The Media Day.
2 weeks exactly from Tuesday, I think. That's the 25th and the 26th of July. Alongside him, DJ Kinne, of course, the head coach, and Nas Jones, who we showed you last week, is freakishly strong. Yeah, I'm excited to hear from those two. Both very different people. So interesting.
Yeah, no, they are. They're two different people.
Literally.
It goes down the laundry list. We will. I think the plan right now is to have a former Media Day snub on the podcast next week to talk, because Texas State never brings quarterbacks to these
Hall
things.
of Fame media snub.
Hall of Fame media snub. Texas State never brings quarterbacks to these things, but the other Sun Belt teams do, which I think is kind of funny.
Well, do you want to? So the western part of the conference of the Sun Belt, like, just released everybody they have. Do you want to guess how many quarterbacks are on that list?
3.
It's 2, I think. I'm pretty sure it's 2. I counted this earlier. Do you know that? Do you know that for a fact?
No, but it would make sense for 3 quarterbacks to go.
Tight end.
Because 3 teams like actually trust their quarterback, and the other 10 don't.
From the West, it's ULM's Jaya Wright, quarterback, senior quarterback. Carter Bradley from South Alabama. And that's it. Yeah.
So 2.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And both
funny,
of those teams are like...
Well, South Alabama's going to be good. But
South Alabama's good? When did South Alabama become good?
They have been good for a while.
Really?
Yes. They've been a consistently steady bowl eligible team. ULM is not going to be good. They are the competition. It's us, Arkansas State, ULM, to try to be like who is going to be like the team that like gets back into winning. Arkansas State has a winning tradition. Texas State does not. So they have the edge there, like historically. ULM has not been successful really in anything. They did beat Alabama once, which is insane to think about. In Nick Saban's first year at Alabama, they beat Alabama, which is insane. But that is lost to history.
Yeah.
So they, again, like, if they're like biggest win, they have a little bit of edge there. But Texas State has the edge that we're in Texas and we should be getting the best recruits. I talked to a high school football coach last week, Jacob. I don't know if I told you this. It was a high school head football coach from a school in San Antonio. And he was telling me that Spavital did not come to his school once. that he said that La Tech made an appearance, UTSA made an appearance, Lafayette, your favorite school, Louisiana, made an appearance. South Alabama, I don't think made, but he mentioned like a couple other Sunbelt schools, and he was like, yeah, no, there was like legit like Conference USA Sunbelt schools that would visit San Antonio.
This is a
Spavital never came. Spavital never came.
This is a 5A, 6A?
This is a 5A.
Oh, okay.
And he said that he said he would go to Texas State games, and he was like, I timed it from my door to the game to the tailgate was 45 minutes. He goes, Texas State to the front door of my 80s is 35 minutes. He goes, they couldn't spend 35 minutes to drive down to talk. So that's the taste that our guy Jakey left in a lot of people's mouths. So hopefully GJ, he did not mention if GJ had come. I didn't ask because I didn't want to get too much in the weeds with him. But he mentioned that Texas State did not have a glowing reputation in some of those San Antonio 5A schools.
I was going through my phone and looking back at when I took over the sports section my junior year, and went to that first game at UTSA, got kicked out of the press conference, and then my whole sports career took off from there.
For cheering.
Exactly.
For cheering.
I have old press conference video of Everett Withers, and it goes all the way back to the Jake Spavital era too. But that was before the athletics department was really putting these out. So I need to go back and watch some of these because I might find the answers we're looking to hidden between all the weeds of these. What are some things that you do or say with what are some things that you do with the team or say to the team after 2 back-to-back losses and headed into the bye week?
What you say is we've got to improve again. The things that we talk about in our locker room are pretty sacred. But what we talk about is how we can take the things that we did well and enhance them, and the things we didn't do well and try to fix them. And we've got a week. The great thing about it, we're week 4 in the season now, and we've got a bye week. So we're kind of at that quarter pole of the season. So now let's try to fix some of those things because we're a so much better team than we were a year ago.
But Jake Spavital just reminds me of like kind of like a get rich quick guy, like now, like going after all these JUCO transfers and stuff. Not even really highly touted if you look at it compared to this class, like it was just these guys that were like, this is a Chevy Silverado 2008. It's got 1,000 more miles, baby.
Say it with your chest. He was going after JUCO guys that weren't even good.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm getting to. These weren't last chance you guys or anything like that. These were, you've never heard of these guys, and
yeah, this wasn't
some of them are still around, great pieces.
This wasn't Cam Newton at Blinn.
No.
This was Cameron. It's like, Anyway, point is that I think GJ and this group is doing a better job recruiting the high schools.
Which is crazy because I've been grappling with this also in my mind, that Take Back Texas is something that an insurrectionist would say as he storms into Nancy Pelosi's house. Like,
hey, they make it work.
They do.
They make it work. I'm just really glad they didn't do the "Don't Tread on Me." That would be funny. UTSA, if you want a free deal there, don't tread on me and have your Roadrunner with the fake.
Well, they do the come and take it, which has been kind of politicized now too. It's like, is this racist? Is this not racist? Texas State did have a little come and take it graphic too on the back of their jersey or the helmet.
Could you imagine a recruit clicks on the come and take it hashtag and then goes down that rabbit hole? You're like, what am I going to? Take Back Texas. It's a clean hashtag. Can't argue it.
Yeah. I mean, they've had, you can say UTSA is a super young program in comparison to Texas State, but GJ came up with fire hashtag. I know that's not his work either. That's Coach Mike, right? Who'd we say that was?
It wasn't in the graphics department.
Anyway, I came up with a fire hashtag their first year in comparison to what? The triangle of toughness? Yeah, I ain't afraid. Better at Twitter. And that counts for a lot, I think.
Yeah.
Squarin Around is proud to be a partner of Elite Sports. That's the place where you can go to get custom branding from Texas State players, getting supported in the NIL endeavors that they're doing. You go to their website, use code SQUARE at checkout. You can help out the show. When you support Elite Sports, you support Texas State athletes themselves. You're putting money directly in the hands of Bobcats. Shop Elite Sports. Use code SQUARE at checkout. Torrey Spears, if you'll remember, we also talked about this last week, but he was named to the second team of Dave Campbell's All-Texas team. At the same list, also triggered Zimmel because Frank Harris, best quarterback ever, according to the list.
Which is I just don't. I get it. I thought about this more. So it's the Texas guys, right? So Frank Harris is from Texas. So maybe that's what it is. That you go okay, Ewer's not from. Well, no, Quinn Ewers is from Texas. So I don't know what they're doing.
Mullet kid with the Manning right under him. I don't know.
The Manning.
What I'm saying, Arch is the son of his father. You heard it here first.
Brother's cut. Arch is cut. You can do all those David Goggins workouts you want, but you're not going to have Archie Manning physique. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, if I was the heir to the Manning dynasty in the Omaha media production too, I think I would have a litany of workout gurus and David Goggins type people to get me in shape.
Yeah, I'd like to know what that diet consists of.
So let's talk about media day. What's it going to be like? What are you kind of expecting from it? Immediately, day one, you're going to get the same fucking thing we've been talking about this whole year. Oh my God, GJ, what's it like to be at Texas State? What's it like transforming prospectively? Talk about your class. Talk about, I feel like it's all the things that we've already heard.
This is where local media has to, if whoever it is, right, whether it be us or somebody else, they have to stress that all of these questions are already answered. If you go to media day as a media member who covers Texas State and you ask the same questions that everybody else has already asked, we've asked since the beginning, since he got hired 6 months ago. If you ask those questions, you're wasting your time. You got to ask questions that are kind of more insightful, in my opinion. So you ask, what does the quarterback room look like? Ask, how do you plan to put 50 points on the board against Baylor? Because that's what the game plan was at UIW. Is that the game plan at Texas State? Do you have the firepower? Do you think that you can do that against a Big 12 team? Because if you can, I feel a little bit more confident about putting 45 on the board against Troy or South Alabama. The thing is, Jacob, is this conference is there's so much parity. there's so many teams who can beat each other up every single week. So to say that Texas State could go 6-6, I don't think is a crazy thing to say. But you got to look at the rest of the conference. That's the other thing about media. You talk to the other teams, everybody's going to be really confident. Everybody's going to tell you, we had a really good training camp. We're in the weight room. We really think that this guy's going to be the next thing. That's great. JMU came in and kicked ass last year. They went from FCS, non-bowl eligible, to potentially they should have won the Sun Belt last year. Like that was how good they were. Troy is a team that won the Sun Belt, right? What do they bring back? Are they a team that is going to look just as good? Because, maybe they are. Maybe Chip Lindsey's got them figured out, right? South Alabama, another team that was the second best team in the West last year. Southern Miss, the third best team in the West. All those teams, defensive driven. So you got to ask questions like, how do you plan to go up against the more physical defense in the Sun Belt? What have you looked like since the spring game? Have any guys really popped for you? Those are the questions you got to be asking. But if we ask GJ, what's it like to be 37 years old? GJ, what are you looking forward to in the 40s? Like, those are not questions that we need to be asking.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are also going to ask about the quarterback situation, even though they're not bringing a quarterback. Who is your quarterback? Is TJ Finley still enrolled? I saw that tweet too. It's like, yes. And then also I think so much of this boils down to what they already had even before they signed TJ, right? Like they had Malik. Everybody was super high on Malik. I went on DCTF. It was like, this is our guy. So we were super high on him too. This team's still putting itself together. And this is my question. So if you're a media member out there and you ask this fucking question and I hear you, I'm going to know you did it because I'm going to say it on my show first. This team is kind of an amalgamation of a lot of people, right? It's like everybody and their mom from UIW. It's half of the leftovers from Texas State. It's a lot of new recruits from out of state coming, or, I should say the Take Back Texas crew, which is like people who are from Texas now coming back to Texas, right? That's the whole point of it. They were all talking about, right at the very end of the spring day availability, like, oh yeah, we just need to kind of get together and click up, really become a unit, become that culture, which was interesting because that's what GJ was saying was already good. The culture's good. Everybody's vibing, everybody's blending. That only happens really in camp and, in the summertime and getting to hang out and stuff. So I want to ask, have you guys been in the river? Have y'all been squaring? What have y'all been up to this summer? What are your travel activities? You go on a road trip?
I want to ask Spears what he thinks about the defense because we know that, look, this is a podcast that's very pro Zach, very anti Jake in a lot of ways. I think we're the only podcast that's like that in the country that's pro Zach Spavital. I like Zach. I thought he did a great job with the defense. Spears had Zach last year. What has been the difference? Is the defense going to look different? Are we going to be faster? Because I think 2 years, well, actually, in the Withers era, it was very much, I thought, front seven oriented. I don't think that they spent a lot of time recruiting corners. And we paid off in the last.
It showed.
And it showed. I think that they were very much for we got to get guys in the trenches. We got to get linebackers who can move. Brian London is the pinnacle of that. He was a diamond in the rough. They got him. He could run the defense, right? He was smart. He was fast. I think the defense with Zach was a little bit more speedy. It wasn't so much like we're going to get a ton of pressure on the quarterback, but we're going to have guys that can really move around. We have defensive linemen that might be able to get a running back in space or a wide receiver in space, right? And chase him down. What is the difference? Because I think that in the Sun Belt, a lot of the defenses are big. A lot of the defenses aren't necessarily fast, but they're going to hit really hard, right? And I think Texas State, what they did last year is they had really solid secondary. The secondary I thought was okay. Now, if you're getting the shootouts, the secondary is going to get beat. If the other team can throw the ball 40 times in a game, you're going to get beat. But in games that was close, I thought the secondary did a good job. So what does that look like if you're Spears?
It's also interesting, Torrey is one of the guys that's probably challenging Ashton Hawkins the most. GJ says Ashton Hawkins has the potential to be one of the best receivers in the country. So I don't know. That's
Iron
that's another
sharpens
thing
iron.
I really want to see is, how good is that offense? Are they going to be able to put up 50 points against maybe one of the better sleeper defenses in the Sun Belt? I don't know.
Well, are you talking about our defense?
Our defense, yes.
If our offense is not better than our defense come week 1,
Because no picks
I
in
have
the spring
questions.
game. You remember that?
I have questions. Yes. Well, yeah. I've got questions. If the offense isn't better than the defense come week 1, I have got some questions. This is a defense that I'm hoping gets better over time, whereas the offense, I think week 1, they've got to be clicking. They've got to be.
And running backs. We're going to have a running back room that's primed, ready to go. GJ called it the best running back room ever, so we'll get to see Nash Jones and be like, hey, what do things look like on that side?
Texas A&M has never had a great running game, in my opinion. So
yeah, no, ever. You're right.
So if they find a way, what's the expectation? Because Calvin Hill looks like to be the number 1 running back according to everybody.
Yeah, seniority, and then just how he runs the ball, super aggressive.
What is your like this amount of yards, this amount of touchdowns would make him a great season or a good season even?
He's got to get 6 or 7 touchdowns, I think. Consistently be on the board. Maybe not every game, or maybe it's not even just him, if they're going with that true like 2 RB set, that they've been talking about. I don't know.
So you're saying 6 touchdowns. How many yards are you expecting from Hill this year?
I don't know. That's tough. Because you can have a lot of yards, but it might not even be that much,
I think that if Hill can get to 700 yards, if he can get to 700 yards and you have guys in that room who are flirting with 300, 400 yards, and you have, let's say, a combined room of
2,500,
2,500, 2,400, then that's a season that you're going to win a shit ton of games. You're going to win.
Also, that means that we're running the ball like every other play. If that
means we can get in games, and if it gets slowed down because the other defense is really good, or we can't throw the ball 50 times a game like they did at UIW, we can win games, and that'd be big. I would like to say this. So week 1 against Baylor, right?
Mm-hmm.
First play of the game is what on offense for Texas State?
I think they're throwing it.
Okay. Write it down. Throw it first play of the game. All right. We'll see.
Yeah, I think they're throwing it. I think a lot has also been said, too, about Malik's legs. He's one of the best athletes on the field. He might be the fastest person on the field, at least,
And he's another aspect of the running game. He adds another wrinkle.
What I don't want is for him to be the leading rusher on the team, because that spells trouble, I think, very fast for us.
If he's the leading rusher and we're running an offense that we throw the ball 40 times a game, then yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It'll be fun. 2 weeks. Media day.
Yep.
I think it'll be cool to talk to GJ too, because I know he's going to give everybody the answers everybody wants, right? Nobody's had the access that we have had to this point, as a conference. I mean, they could have, they just didn't, right? They didn't show up to our stuff. So everybody's going to be like, oh, what's it been like? Are you going to do the same thing at UIW? This is the chance for GJ to take some shots. Be like, hey, we're coming. This is the expectation now.
I hope he does.
Our standard. These are billboard material.
As a content creator, the more fiery stuff, the better. As a fan, I want milquetoast. I want you not to give anybody any bulletin board material. Let us do that. Let this podcast be the bulletin board material. Don't go out and say something insane like we're going bowling.
Did you go to media day in college?
Yeah, I went when it was in NOLA one time. It was fun. That's where I met my friend. What was it like?
Yeah,
it was good. It was good. What was fun is that Spavital recognized me like immediately, and we could like kind of have, because the goal, and this is a little behind the curtain, a little inside baseball for journalism. The goal in every journalist's life is to not do the press conferences, is to get the one-on-one. You want the one-on-one. The press conference is really just there to kind of break the ice, right? It's drinks before dinner, essentially. And Spavital pulled me aside a couple times and was like, hey, that guy's full of shit. That guy's saying this. That guy's like really good. That's a really good player. He put me on Tyler Bass. He's like, that guy, he's got what it takes because he knows what it takes to get to the NFL. And he said to me, hey, have fun. And also, like, talk to everybody. Don't just talk to us. Go to every single one of these things, which I was like, I kind of already knew that. However, it was a good piece of advice that I did. And I talked to a ton of them, and I have good interviews on my phone. You mentioned going through your stuff. I still have Media Day stuff from like 2019 on my phone. And it's like, I probably need to get rid of this at this point. Like, it's kind of taking up some space. So
that's the thing about, I never delete any of the interviews I ever do. Like, because I want to watch them. I hate the sound of my voice in interviews, which is stupid because I do a podcast now and I edit it too, so I hear my voice all the time. I'd like my voice on this. This is not how I talk in interviews. I'm, hello, did you like this? You know, I don't know. But also, I just hate press conferences. Like you're saying, it's such a low hanging fruit. Like if you get a story out of a press conference, you're just wasting everybody's time. It's like a 15-minute clip. Yeah.
If you got a story at a press conference, you were the only one there, and they said something that was insane, and you were the only person who was like covering that team. For the most part, you were doing it so you can get that one-on-one. And Spavital gave me a couple one-on-ones, and he gave us a bunch of one-on-ones at the Star, and he was very, very nice. You know, everybody takes shots at him. We take a couple shots of him on this podcast. But at the end of the day, Jake Spavital was very kind to me. He was very nice to us.
He's a good dude. Called me Jake. It was super cool every time we showed up to his Chimmy's radio show, you know?
Argued with me about PJ Fleck, which, funny enough, he is in the majority. I thought he was wrong. Most people don't like PJ Fleck. So
row the boat.
Yeah, he was very, because whatever. Point is, not a, he called it as he sees it. I like it. I respect it. Can we get him on the podcast?
Jake?
Yeah.
I think he would shut us down.
You said no?
I think maybe you would have better luck. This is like a rare instance in which he would remember you, wouldn't remember me, and be like, oh, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if he wants anything to do with Texas State anymore, though, is my thing. You know?
I think let's give it a couple years.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the same thing as like Everett Withers. Like, he's just rebuilt his whole career. He's a DC again for Temple. Like, does he want to do anything with Texas State? Probably not.
Probably not. But, you know, talk about his career.
Yeah. Cool. That's all I really wanted to talk about. Before we go, though, I do have a pitch just for everybody to follow our Facebook page at Squarin Pod. We're building it up in an ever-changing effort to combat Elon Musk's dictatorship on Twitter. So it's our safe space, really, and we're just going to post the same stuff that we have there. We're doing that because I don't believe in threads. And it's partially because the leader of Twitter, Elon Musk, called Mark Zuckerberg a cuck earlier this week, which I never thought I would be saying those things, but a fight in the UFC is shaping up between Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk. Last week, I went on our show, talked about how Elon Musk is training with George St. Pierre and a bunch of jiu-jitsu guys. Now, Mark Zuckerberg is posting pictures with Israel Adesanya and Alexander Volkanovski. I'm scared.
I would take Zuck in a heartbeat. Yeah,
ripped.
Go to the Facebook page, follow, like, do whatever you need to do on the Facebook page, because that is where the Squaring Around Pod will live. And also, it's going to reach a larger audience. The way that it reaches a larger audience is you guys sharing it. If you can share a video, a clip, if something you like, something you don't like, comment, whatever, the quicker that you share it, it'll go to your friends, your alumni friends, the people you went to college with, the friend that you had made in an econ class that you never unfriended. You send it to them, right? It'll show up on their timeline. Hopefully they share it, and then we grow the podcast. And that's how it's, you know, a good way to grow the brand. Help us grow the Squaring brand.
Yeah. So like, comment, subscribe. Reesh. See you next week.
Next week,
right?
Talk Media Day.
Next week, big Media Day talk. Thanks for watching.
We ain't got no badges. We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
Better not come any closer.
Thanks for listening. New episodes out every Thursday. Follow the boys on Twitter. Eat 'em up. Eat 'em up.